What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to share with you the way that I strategize how much I need to buy as far as inventory for Amazon in order to sell to make a certain amount of money and that kind of thing. In this, I'm going to show you kind of like a breakdown of what I have found to be true for myself. It's not necessarily the same thing for everybody, but I'm going to show you kind of what I've found that works for me, and then maybe you can take that and run with it or twist it to kind of fit your needs. That being said, let's jump into this. I'm going to share my screen right now. Boom, there we go. And basically I have this little file or whatever that I made. And so we're going to go through it. Projecting sales, revenue, and profit in order to grow your Amazon business. If you talk to kind of any big time sellers or anybody that's been selling for a while, they're going to tell you, don't worry about what the revenue is, only worry about your net profit. However, I think you have to kind of worry about what your revenue is when you're projecting in order to kind of find your path to that net profit that you need to make. If you don't know how much you need to make, then you don't know how much you need to sell. And so let's look at what we have to sell. Quick shout out for this. I want to say thanks to Flips for Miles on Instagram. He messaged me today and was like, I'm having kind of a hard time understanding how you project what you need to sell in order to know what you got to make. And so I gave him the basic breakdown, and I thought this would be a really good video to make for YouTube so that I can share it, and it'll just kind of always be up there for reference. If you guys have questions, shoot them to me through Instagram, and I will definitely, I've been writing down like every single question I get so that ultimately I can help other sellers everywhere forever, right? That's kind of my thing. I like helping. All right, so starting out, let's say for all intents and purposes, you are not a seller yet, but you want to get into selling. My suggestion is, the first thing is you buy 100 books at $1 a piece and you send them in. Okay, send them into Amazon, and I have videos showing how to start out and what tools you need and all that stuff. But let's just say you buy 100 books and you send them in. You sell one book per day at $14 average sale price. Why one book per day? Well, it's been my experience, this is personally, that at a minimum, I sell 1% of my inventory every single day throughout the month. So obviously this number dwindles just a little bit. There's kind of like, I guess, what would it be called? Like aggregated numbers or something like that, to where, day one, you have 100 books and you sell one. So day two, you have 99 books. So 1% of that would basically be like 0.99. So we're just going to say one book per day. Hopefully once you have that initial 100 in there, you stay sourcing and you stay sending stuff in. But we're just going to say, for ease, that you're selling 1% of your initial inventory per day. I found for myself that it actually gets a little bit closer to like 2% to 4% of my inventory. 4% is like on a really, really good day. So 30 books per month. We're operating on a 30-day month whenever I make this example, okay? So that would be $420 revenue. You sell 30 books at $14 a piece, $420. 30% is what will get deposited into your account. This is what I have found to be true for myself. I think it's different for everybody, because if you're selling obviously a higher average sale price, or if you're selling books that have a lower rank, they're going a lot faster, you might have a 40% take home, deposited into your account. We're not calling this net profit yet because we haven't subtracted what we paid for the books and the shipping into Amazon. So we're looking at 30% of that initial 420 revenue getting deposited into our bank account. We take off $30 for the books because we paid $1 per book for each one of the books that sold during the month. And we're going to take $20 off for the shipping, right? To ship them into Amazon. So you're left with $76 net profit. This is not set in stone. This is just kind of like an overview example. Just keep that in mind. 76%, or rather $76 is 18% of that initial 420 revenue. This is not great. This is the start, right? So in the beginning, your shipping costs are going to be a little bit more, they're going to hold a lot more weight not wait. They're going to hold a lot more of a percentage in the beginning, because as you get more and more books in there, those shipping costs don't really matter as much, right? And then you're going to start sourcing smartly, and so you're going to buy more expensive books, and you're going to spend less per item to ship in. Like it will cost less to ship them in if you're making more money per item, right? I hope that makes sense. So that is starting out. Then let's say you want to scale up. I'm going to give you my situation exactly. Currently, right now, when I'm making this video on July 25th, I have 2,400 active listings, 99% books. I'm selling 1% minimum per day, so 24 books, at an average sale price of $13.42. Not ideal, but it could be worse, and it has been worse in the past. Remember, with this, maybe your average sale price is $10 per item, but you're selling 2 or 3% of your inventory every single day. That's really good too. That balances the scales a little bit. This is kind of my minimum right now. Some days I sell 1.5% to 2.5%. I'm just using 1% minimum as the example. 720 books would be sold throughout the entire month at $13.42. That's $9,662 revenue. We will definitely surpass that this month. 30% of that is $28.98. Okay, so $2,898. We have to take out the cost of the books that sold, right? So we sold 720 books at $1 a piece at $7.20, and then my shipping. I know what my shipping was. I spent $200 on getting all these books in at this point. Now, mind you, like there's sort of like a gradual process, right? You send a ton of books in 2 months ago, and some of them are still left over, and so you send some more in, and so the $200 would be what would be the shipping for these 720 books, and that's like a pretty good estimate for that variable there. It can go up, it can go down. If you don't have placement shipping, so like if Amazon is forcing you to divide your shipping up into all kinds of different places and stuff, then that's going to cost you more. For whatever reason, because of my geographic location, I ship everything to one place just a couple hours away. They get it same day, and it's like super cheap shipping. I can ship 100 pounds of stuff for like $20 through UPS, and it's great. All right, so the $28.98 minus my costs, so $720 plus $200 leaves me with $19.78, and that is good as a minimum. This is a very accurate minimum net profit number. If you're sourcing correctly, you'll likely see much higher daily sell-through rates because you're getting more desirable stuff at a lower rank, like lower rank stuff that is more expensive. Okay, so you'll see a higher daily sell-through rate, which translates into higher revenue and higher profit. Duh, that just makes sense. Also, staying vigilant for higher average sale price books will dramatically increase your net profit. And there's actually a setting in Scoutly, the app that I use, and I'm sure it's in the other apps too. There's a setting in there where you can actually put what you want your minimum sale price to be. And so anything that's below that, it's supposed to weed those out. It's not 100% all the time. But for me, if I put $14 as my minimum sale price, then anything that comes in at like 10 or 12 bucks, it will just not even ring up as a buy item. Okay, so it would not tell me to buy that particular item. If you don't have a scanning app, or if you want to try one out, there's a link in the description. It will be the first link in the description where you can get a free 30-day trial of Scoutly. It's excellent. I do the $30 per month plan. It allows you to scan live and access the Amazon database. It's excellent. And so it's definitely something you need if you're going to scale up. Right. And so in the beginning, you can just use the Amazon Seller Central app and kind of figure it out. But once you start scaling up, you definitely need a dedicated scanning app. Okay, so we're going to pull this back up here, and we're going to go down. Now for a hypothetical. Okay, let's say I want to sell $40,000 in October with the above metrics in place. And that is actually on my list of to-dos, right? So I have on my whiteboard, I actually have like all my projections of what I want to sell and then what I'm actually selling. October, I want to do $40,000 in revenue. So what would that translate with all the breakdown? To sell $40,000 at $14 average sale price, we would need to sell 2,857 books, more books than I even have in my inventory right now. So that's kind of crazy to think about. If 2,857 represents the 30% sell-through rate for the month, right? 1% per day, 30 days, 30%. You would need 9,500 books in your store by October 1st. Definitely have my work cut out for me. 30% of $40,000 is 12,000 bucks, and 12,000 minus 3,000 for the books, it would be 2,857, but I just rounded up to 3,000. You have to replenish that sold inventory, right? You have to keep replenishing. Minus 1,000 shipping into Amazon. I don't know that it would be 1,000. It could be more. It could be a little bit less. I just did this for round numbers. I feel like that would be a solid shipping number, I guess. That would leave you with $8,000 as net take home. Pay your bills, put some in an investment. Yeah, that would be kind of that. So this is kind of like how I break it down, right? Reverse engineer your goals, see what you want the end goal to be, and then figure out all the steps in place. Like, what do you have to do to get the next step smaller, and then the next step smaller, and break it down into bite-sized pieces. This is how I have done all of my planning and my strategy and my goals since I've started. Some of them I've hit, some of them I haven't. I've hit 75% of the goals that I set. I hit them or surpassed them, and 25% I struggle to hit some of those, right? So that's just kind of an honest, like, you have to set huge goals if you're going to make huge moves. So you're not going to hit every single goal. If you're setting your goals big enough, you're not going to hit every single one of them. And that's to be expected. Like, that's understandable. This is how I set my stuff. Figure out what you want to sell per month. And I would suggest, if you're really serious about this and you're doing it full time, absolutely like up your revenue goal every single month by $10,000. There's no reason you should be like sitting or upping your revenue goal by $1,000 or $5,000. So for mine, when I first started Amazon, I'm going to read it off to you. January, my goal was 1,000. That was my revenue goal. February was 3,000. March, 5,000. April, 7,000. May, 10,000. June, 15,000. July, right now, 20,000. Hoping we hit that. Not quite sure. Next month, August, 30,000. September, 40,000. I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going. Try and stop me, right? October, 50,000. November, 60,000. December, let's go crazy. 90,000. Sell 90,000 in December, right? Am I naive to think that I'm going to make all these? No way. No way. But I like Grant Cardone's philosophy of 10xing, right? So if you set a $10,000 net profit goal for the year, 10K, you want to make 10K on something, but you only reach 80% of it, then you're $8,000. But if you set, let's 10x it. If you set $100,000 net profit goal for the year and you only reach 80% of that, it's 80 grand, right? So like, that is why I set such massive goals. In December, we have a $90,000 goal for Amazon. Now I'm taking into consideration like Christmas time, like people are still like residual spending from Black Friday, like they're in the spending mood. It's Q4. I'm taking a lot of things into account for that. So let's say $90,000 goal for December, but let's say I only make halfway, right? Let's say I only hit halfway, a massive fail. It's still 45 grand in sales, right? Which translates into the $8,000 or $8,500. Like, that's not bad. That's still a win, right? So this is just my method. This is my thought process. I'm able to handle, and like, I think I have the mental strength or fortitude or something to be able to process and handle failing those massive goals. Entrepreneurship is just going from one failure to the next without losing heart. And sometimes, your back's up against the wall and you're struggling and you can't breathe, but you make it to the next failure. and make it to the next failure. Each failure takes you one step higher up the mountain. Entrepreneurship is just going from failure to failure without losing heart. And so that's what I do. I only have 35, 40 years left to actually like work hard. I absolutely do not have time for small thinking, small goals, or messing around. It's crunch time. Like the next 40 years is crunch time, right? So this is how I play the game. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful and open your eyes as to a method of setting goals. It's not the method, but just a method. Figure out what works for you. I would be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. You can drop them in the comments below, or you can DM me on Instagram at Nicholas_Woolsey. Link is in the description if you want to follow me on Instagram. I really thank you guys for coming along on this video. And if you haven't already, maybe subscribe. Consider that. And like the video if it has helped you. I really would appreciate that. So until the next video, you guys take care, but don't take it easy.